Okay, so for the last 5 months or so, and a little bit last summer when I visited, I've been playing Elden Ring with my boyfriend Heiko. Up, here comes the strings, hang on. There we go. It wasn't quite a co-op playthrough. Instead, we simply passed the controller back and forth every time one of us died. And it was a good time, for the most part. But, and here's the mildly unpopular opinion this video is about, it was just good. I think it's a solid 7.5 or 8 out of 10. Fun with the boyfriend, but not deserving of the worship it gets. I don't think I would have completed it if I'd just been playing for myself. For reference, my entire Souls-like experience is Elden Ring, a little of Dark Souls 1's first hour, and the sort of Souls-like Metroidvania's Hollow Knight, which I have completed, and Silksong and Nine Souls, which I am in the process of completing. Heiko has now played Elden Ring and Bloodborne, which is one of his most beloved games. I have some problems with the game I want to get into, but here's a quick rundown of various things about the game. The difficulty wasn't really one of those problems. With a few exceptions, the fights were fun enough to beat our heads against, though I gave up and let Heiko beat some of the more bullshit ones, like the final boss of Shadow of the Erdtree, which is only not my least favorite fight in the game, because the Furnace Giants exist. As an aside, the Furnace Giants are easily the worst thing in the game. If they had a more enjoyable gameplay loop, or had much less HP, they'd be okay, but it's just a bunch of tedium every time you have to fight one. Anyways, almost everything else is good, but not amazing. The game feel is fine, if a bit sluggish. I felt the equipment combined almost everything being crap not worth using, with having a million defensive stats to manage, into a spreadsheeter's dream and an eyeballer's tedium. It's a good addition of Fashion Souls, though. The music was good, it underpinned the combat, but none of it was, I have to go listen to this soundtrack by itself good, and I found myself not really noticing it most of the time. This is a generally good thing as far as it being a game soundtrack, as such are supposed to set the mood and not get in the way. Contrast Dragon Quest XI's, whose composer seems to want you to stop playing and listen to the music instead. But the difference between a good soundtrack and a great soundtrack, like FF7 Remake / Rebirth, or a bunch of the Sonic games, or Crypt and the Necrodancer, is whether you want to listen to the music outside of the game. The graphics were good, though we played on PS5 and there was some pop-in of grass and the like. The monster designs were mostly great, even if there was a dramatic lack of dragons and an overflow of wyverns. Although the dragons that were in the game fucking ripped. Leaving messages was fun, if limited, and we got a lot of chuckles out of other people's messages. The voice acting was not great. Everybody speaks in this weird, breathy monotone at all times, and it's so weird and kind of annoying to listen to. The story, though, oh boy. Okay, yes, the lore is deep. There's a fantastic foundation here, with a lot of interesting stuff to talk and theorize about. The collected lore video is 9.5 goddamn hours long. I love that shit. But the presentation is catered towards people who want a million little tidbits to piece together, which is not an inherently bad thing by itself, at the expense of a cohesive, interesting narrative. And I think the game suffers for that. Not the least because I couldn't help but think, as I played, that it felt like I was playing through the aftermath of a much cooler and more interesting story that I'd rather be playing through. It occurs to me that Hidetaka Miyazaki's approach to storytelling is almost bang on the same as Scott Cawthon's, the creator of Five Nights at Freddy's, for those who haven't paid attention to those games. Contrast other games that do the million bits lore, but couple it with a very interesting story in the present that you're playing through, like Hollow Knight, and Elden Ring kind of falls short of the mark. We got the Rani ending, which was cool and interesting, but we got it by accident because we saw the summon sign and didn't realize it was a start the ending button rather than summon characters you completed the story of for dialogue before seeing the ending. We then watched the other 5 endings, and the Rani one was by far the most interesting and complete out of all of them, which was very disappointing. Not to mention the silent fart that was the Shadow of the Erdtree ending. There was barely anything there. And, hey, Miyazaki, When a character comes to a tragic and anticlimactic end due to their own hubris or stuff outside their control, it tugs at the heartstrings and adds some detailing to the story to highlight the more positive, complete, and or narratively satisfying stuff. When 90 goddamn % of NPCs in your game meet tragic anticlimactic ends, it becomes impossible to care about any of these people. It's Lucy in the football. Oh, hey, new NPC, you've got a neat design. What's that? You've got a quest for me? Why are we pretending that this is going to turn out satisfactorily? You're just going to die or turn into a ball of heads, or just fucking vanish and leave an item behind, just like the last 15 people I've met. Helping people just gets them killed most of the time. The only quest line that really sticks with me is the Ronnie stuff, because that shit actually goes somewhere and the characters are actually developed. Now, I think this kind of storytelling absolutely has a place. The million tidbits people deserve their games, and Elden Ring really shines when you look at it purely from that standpoint and ignore the narrative. But I think those people also deserve a strong story to go along with it, and characters they can care about, and subjectively better acting. And Elden Ring does not deliver on any of those things. I wish it did. Very few games can compare to the cultural event that was the Elden Ring release back in 2022, and I'm very sad that the game did not live up to the hype, for me. At least I had a good time with my boyfriend, though, and that was a valuable and good experience, so it's not like I got nothing out of the game. The lore was fun to pick over with him, and our method of couch co-op was fun to cheer each other on during. Up next for me, as far as sharing games with each other goes, is going to be Bloodborne, which he adores, and thinks is a much tighter and more interesting game. I, for my part, will be getting him to play Chrono Trigger once he finishes Legend of Dragoon, which I am very much excited for. Anyways, those are my thoughts on the game. I'd love to hear yours, even if it's to rip on my criticisms. Comment down below. I'll see you soon for my next stream. The day of this recording is going to be Triangle Strategy, so I'm excited. Bye, everybody.